They say, defense wins championships. We're here in Dallas. We got a top 10. When the hot boys hit the field, this is what we tell them. Listen what we tell them. This is what we tell them. Go to work. Clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. Gone clock in. Gone clock in. Gone clock in. Clock in. Gone clock in. Clock in. Yeah, it's time to go to work. See my defense, they on the field right now. Yeah, my defense, they yelling 3 and now. Yeah, my defense, they don't like your quarterback. So my defense, all trying to get them sacks with the ball in the air. Secondary go to work. Byron Jones, he be there. He be lying, he be lurking. If you get past him, Jeff Heath gon' hurt him. Put the ball down, go ahead and run it. I got a hot front four when they coming. Plus we got the best linebacker duo in the whole NFL. We the hot boys sizzling on fire, come to give your team hell. Clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. Go defense. Go defense. Defense, gone, defense. Clock in, D, yeah, it's time to go to work. I know I said at the beginning of this track, man, that we had like a top 10 or like a top 5. Hot boys gearing up to be triple D, you know what I'm saying? Clock Dallas doomsday defense. Listen what the hot boys tell them, man. Defense, put me in, coach. Yeah, we all hard hitters. Smell fresh meat, yeah, we all eating. Put me in, coach. Yeah, we all hard hitters. Smell fresh meat, yeah, we all eating. Put me in, coach. Yeah, we all hard hitters. Yeah, I smell fresh meat, yeah, we all eating. Clock in, D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock in, D, yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. Gone clock in. Clock in, gone clock in, clock in, gone clock in, clock in, yeah, it's time to go to work. See the star on the field, you gon' meet D-Law. Thinking you an outlaw, we sending the predator. Jalen Smith scoop up the whole field, so how you gon' play here, bruh? If you release your dogs, we got a wolf hunt. LVE, tackling Dutchmen coming. If you hungry and trying to eat like Zeke, we'll send in a taco to sweep you off your feet. Now you deep in the woods. Plus we got a couple Collins. They say time and pressure make diamonds. The hot boys shining. Clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. See, clock in, D. Yeah, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Yeah, it's time to go to work. Gone clock in. Clock in. Gone clock in. Clock in. Gone clock in. Clock in. Yeah, it's time to go to work.
Gone defense. I'm excited today, baby. I don't know about you. What's going on, Bob?
I'm excited. I haven't heard that in a while, man. I feel like it's been a long time since we heard that song, man.
Yeah, that's a throwback, man. Shout out
dude.
Starboy. You know, way back Wednesday, baby. That's that.
Really?
Clock in, D.
That might have been the first jam I ever heard from him, dude. If I'm being honest, I think that might have been the first one I ever heard, man.
That was the first song. Shout out my man Starboy, gang supporter. We're gonna get to the rest
Starboy,
of
baby.
here. You know, he sent me that. I think it was back in 2018, and he sent me he said, "Man, check this out." And that's kind of how it all started. And now we got Lady Vice sending. I got Wesley, Westside Dawson, Star Status, Cowboys Connection. We've got an accumulation of tracks over here we've been sharing. But welcome, nonetheless, baby. We on episode 32, baby. Better make a run.
32, man. That is, oh, man. I'm loving it. I love that fact, man. And let me tell you, for everybody out there who doesn't know, you think that you'd be able to come up every single week on a consistent basis with very, very fresh and new topics about cannabis. And I'm here to tell you, it's pretty damn hard. Now, with the fact that everybody's starting to slowly legalize has given us the ability to have some conversations to talk about. But after a while, you start running a little bit out of some really deep, dark, or some deeper things to talk about. So I'm happy these folks are hopping around and hopping on the board of getting legalized, man, especially New Mexico, man. That state, man, it's beautiful, man. I've been there a couple of times in Ruidoso at the wintertime, and it was beautiful, man. It's as close to Colorado as kind as you can get.
Yeah. Well, we're throwing it back on the way back Wednesday, kind of like to episode 29 here. Y'all remember 29 for the Cowboys, right? Y'all remember who that was? Right? Yeah, shark-infested waters, baby. On episode 29, we talked about the legalization in New Mexico. Over the last few months, they've actually legalized there. And now there's been a lot of uptick on news out there. As you've seen us cover New Jersey here, we talked about that last week. It's a New Jersey 88, new game out there. We learned that, the original 88 is from New Jersey out there. We talk about their legalization and their challenges. As you see, Cory Booker trying to prevent the Banking Act from being passed so the haves can't continue to have and some of the have-nots can get some haves, if you follow what I'm saying. But we're talking about New Mexico in episode 32, as Mike Rock liked to dub it. He a Laker fan. Number 32. It's magic. But we got a little map we're going to show you guys on here. And what we seem to think is, what at least seemed, I think, based on what I'm reading in the research, I'm seeing that if Texas doesn't legalize cannabis soon, what we're going to see is Texas residents traveling on I-40, up there. There are 3 points that we're going to talk about, these 3 cities, that they're going to be traveling to out there to get their greenery of choice. And we're not talking about lettuce, you know what I mean? We're talking about that cannabis, baby. So I know you deal with that already, Bob, because folks hit you up and you're right there in Colorado. So let's just use you because they don't need to come all the way out west. You know what I mean? Now they've been using you. It looks like they're inching closer with New Mexico, but we know it's going to take a while to sit up over there. But tell us a little bit about that as I queue up some folks. We give some shout outs. What has Colorado been dealing with in terms of outsiders coming in and buying up all the product?
I don't know. First of all, I don't know if they're buying it all up because there is still a shitload. My dispensary that I go to, Good Chemistry, does not run out of cannabis. It just has never happened. But they're probably able to grow and keep a lot on hand because they're able to sell a lot. So it is relative to what you're saying. But when I first moved here, without getting off course, when I first moved here, I didn't have a way to I didn't think about getting cannabis legally. I black market bought it when I first moved here 17 years ago, or I think that's what it was. And I had to get it. That guy was probably going to a dispensary. And I know for some of my friends that couldn't get it, I was helping them out a little bit because after I was a dispensary member, for sure, man. But on a bigger scale, I know Colorado has worked very hard to make sure that their regulations are in place so that they're not backdoor selling this cannabis to any border states or any states that are illegal. Because California, and I'm not bad mouthing them, they set the precedent and the bar for a lot of this legality. They did also screw up in a lot of ways by getting popped for selling out of the back door of their dispensaries. A lot of them, dude. We're not talking about one or two. We're talking about a lot. So Colorado wanted to make sure that they didn't become any of that. But you have a border town like we're about to talk about, like Trinidad, where some people are going to come from another state in order to try and get their hands on cannabis. It's something that we want to probably pretend like it doesn't happen, but it does. It 100% happens. There's a black market in other places. It's getting smaller and smaller. I know with cannabis being legal in Mexico, certain people are feeling the hit, but big cartels are not because they're controlling the cannabis anyway. So, it's people are going to be in demand for cannabis in Texas, and they're going to probably run to the border to try and get it. Luckily, it's going to be in the same country for them. But at the same time, the laws for you getting caught will make you probably feel like you're in another country once you get popped.
Unless you're like Alex Caruso of the Lakers, you know what I mean? He actually got caught at the airplane in Texas in Bryan College Station. We talked about that here on Square. So we know the black market is there, and we understand that. Folks be like, man, I'm not finna drive to Albuquerque, Las Cruces, or Clayton from Texas just to get some weed. Man, look, you'd be surprised I think you probably know some folks that drove from out of town. You know, we don't have to bring them up here.
100%.
You know some
I'm not
folks
gonna
that
lie.
drove to Colorado and picked up some packages. You know what I'm saying? So,
Sure.
you know, if the demand is there, you know, everybody's got their price. And I believe that's what we're talking about today. Are folks from Texas going to make a run for the border on episode 32? Let's get some shout outs. We got our usual suspects riding with us, man. You know, Mike Rock.
We know Mike Rock. What's up, Mike Rock?
Mike Rock winning all the prizes, dog. He won the Debo house shoes. You believe that? He's got the Creator tools. He's got the DAC wristband, and he's won the Debo house shoes. You believe that, man? Mike Rock's cleaning up, bro.
He's figured it out, man. I figured out a long time ago, as somebody who wanted to be on the radio, how to win radio prizes by calling at specific times. So I think he's found an algorithm somehow.
I don't know, man.
Kudos
I think
to
the
you,
Wheel
man.
of Names is favoring him over there because I've done it live for my supporters. So shout out all the BDG paid supporters. So I need a mystery supporter. I had somebody that fell out, but I need a mystery supporter today. Somebody from the BDG page signs up to become a BDG paid supporter today. I'm gonna mail you this cool little weed tray. You might be able to take out New Mexico, roll you up some, if that's the case, especially if you in Texas. So clock in and let me know where you at. We got King Sharon on the line. You know why we call him King Sharon, right, Bob?
Be red. Be red. He called me out yesterday because he said, you're the only one that calls me Be Red. That's Be Red. Be Red sharing all over the place, man. Sharing all over the place. That's my boy Be Red, man.
I can relate, man, because I had a few guys in the day used to call me Be Red. You know what I mean? I know all about that. You know what I mean?
You're talking about Jamie Kennedy, Be Red?
Yeah, Be Red on Welcome to Malibu, whatever that shit was. Yeah, that
Malabute. All right.
Yeah, Malabute. There he is. King Sharon. We call him King Sharon because he gets his Sharon on. He's a gang supporter of Patreon. He's a gang. He's a BDG paid supporter, and he supports all of the Sharon activity over here. He clocks in daily. Thank you for setting the example out there, King Sharon. And somebody we've had featured here before, too, as well. We got some fan club presidential statuses on the line. What up, Kim Murray? We see you out there in New Jersey. And, of course, your boy over there, Bob the Cannabis Cowboy.
J-Mac, man. What's going on, J-Mac? And you're busy. Get at me, man. Let me know what's up with the beans, man.
Man, shout out J-Mac. And J-Mac posted a video on IG. It seems to have gotten over about 4,000 views now. It's doing pretty good over there.
Are you fucking kidding me? Is that the one with Lenny passed out next to him?
No, not that one. I seen that one.
Not
that one. No, he's doing something and he's packing. The reason why I say is because he's got his OA t-shirt on. So shout out to Jay Mackin out there in New York. You know what I mean? He can damn near smoke a blunt anywhere you smoke a cigarette in New York, right?
Anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke cannabis.
Man, that's what's up. And so we've gotten through the shout outs here today. And, I wanted to add this to the stream. Let's just, before we talk about running to the border, let's just talk about how cannabis is affecting real estate markets.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, according to marijuanamoment.net, those folks we follow, we've been following probably close to almost 3 years over here. I get that email every morning at 3:30. I'm a Patreon. I pay him $25 a month. Shout out to the close to 400 Patreons he's got over there. Without him, a lot of this information wouldn't even be able to hit the street. So it really helps us here. But recently they let this go. They published it on marijuanamoment.net saying that houses on average between 15 to 20,000 have an increase in value when they're in the same zip code as a dispensary. Would you believe that?
It's more valuable because exactly what you said. If you've got the access, if you happen to be in a town in a state that is legal, there's a town that doesn't accept it. Yeah, living in a city, in a town, or a city that is legal is definitely going to make you want to move there. And they have, man. They've almost chased us out of our area of Lakewood simply because it's grown 3 times, since full legalization happened out here, man. Denver as well, man. I'm not gonna cry like it's only Lakewood. It's Colorado everywhere, but they're gonna come, man. They're gonna move to your state, and if everybody would just make it legal, we wouldn't have to worry about these mass exoduses from one state to another and population booms and the increase of property values.
Yeah, I wanted to share that here because you guys hear me say this all the time. I'm on the West Coast, the best coast. It's not always because of the tree. Well, maybe it is because now the tree's making my home worth more value because I happen to live in the same zip code as a dispensary. So as we see people run for the border to not only buy weed, with this kind of information now, this is a clever real estate study. You guys can go. I'll post this link here in the comments so you guys can check it out. We ain't got to go tit for tat through the whole thing. But what it says here essentially, is the Clever Real Estate done a study and pulled information from Zillow. So if you know anything about real estate, you know that app Zillow, they're pretty prominent. And that's what caught my attention, that they pulled all this data and shared that, man, if you live in a zip code near a dispensary, your house is getting some equity, dog.
It's big money, man. It's almost like living near a hospital, you know, like sort of counts as the same thing, which I think is a beautiful thing. That's pretty crazy. Mike Rock, we're not seeing freezing on our end, but yeah, man, I don't know. I think it makes 100% complete sense. I mean, wouldn't you want to live somewhere? If you lived, like I said, if you're in Colorado and you're in one of these towns, maybe small towns that don't allow it, you know, you're going to say, hell, we're going to save up our money and move to Denver or move to Lakewood or move to surrounding areas.
I'm just going to tell you straight up here. I think I've shared this with you here before, but I don't think I've shared this with everybody. I'm originally a Texas resident. I happen to retire military, stay in Washington State. I just got tired of packing my fucking bags up, right? And that wasn't based on, legalization at that time, because when I retired, I hadn't even ventured into that alternative form of pain management. I was still taking candy from the candy man. So shout out to all my veterans out there. You know what I'm talking about. But they're actually doing research on that level now too as well. But my family, we contemplated moving to the Frisco area, bro, to, around the DFW area. Cause you know me, them boys, baby, you know what I mean? I need to be around ground zero.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
But weed ain't legal there yet. So
it's decriminalized, but
I'm a medical patient. For all my medical patients out there with the Department of Health that are registered with your cannabis medical programs in your state, you are a patient. There's no need to explain why you do it. You have to make decisions based on that. So with that being said, people running to the border, you don't think people are gonna run to the border to buy weed, or people are actually gonna move out of state now to states where they can purchase homes to get more value versus states that are not? I don't know. I would think so.
Here's something I'd like to talk about personally real quick that's directly connected to it. So right off of the bat, New Mexico residents can grow 6 plants. Right off the bat, anyone who's a New Mexico resident, 21 and over, they can grow 6 plants, and 4 of them, actually, my bad, it's up to 12 plants a household with more than one adult. But only 4 of them can be flowering at the same time. So this is what kind of pisses me off about this. We're talking about, I think it was 2004 or 2005, maybe, when I could be wrong. I could be off by a couple of years, when Colorado went medical. And I believe the cultivation laws for medical have been the same, as well as during it, right when they started recreational laws in Colorado only allow you to grow 6 plants, and 3 of them can be flowering. So these guys and New York and all these other states who were legal after Colorado are already in place with more ability for home growers. And I've got an issue with Colorado right now, staying with the amount of plants that you can flower at a time. I don't know what their thinking is. Maybe they're afraid people are going to dent the sales of cannabis if they have access to cannabis, but I wouldn't think that's the case. I mean, I should be able to flower and grow 6 plants at a time. I don't know why I'm not allowed to.
We know what the case is. I mean,
look at New York.
Yeah. I mean, with overall these states that aren't legalized yet, where we haven't, they've preventing this whole massive, let's legalize everybody and just get the ball fucking rolling. It's not a matter of if, but when. But this old terms of thinking, man, they haven't figured out how to get their hands enough in these cookie jars yet. Like what Cory Booker's doing out where our girl Kim Murray is at in New Jersey, standing up saying, over my dead body, are you going to pass this banking legislation that's going to give all of the haves, like the tobacco and the alcohol industry folks that are invested there, to sink their hooks into the cannabis industry, you know what I mean, and force the little guy out in traditional American capitalization history, you know what I mean, or how we do it here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's already happened. I mean, we know that. We know big tobacco. We know big liquor has got their hands in a lot of this. We don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. It's not huge news to a lot of people, but it should be. And, full legalization comes with a lot of stuff. I'm not necessarily down with it, man. I think it should be a state-to-state thing. I just think the feds need to say it's legal it's legal. We won't put you in jail for it. And then let every state handle it the way they want to handle it. I don't want Walmart stealing it.
Well, look at what Jay Mackin's putting out there.
Yeah, that's the same thing in Colorado. It's been like that for a while. That's why I don't worry about it when I travel. I have no problem. I just pack it in my bag. I don't put it in my check. I just put it in my bag, and it makes it through every time, man. Every time.
Yeah. And so these three cities I want you to keep in mind, these three cities' names. Okay. I want you to remember Clayton. I want you to remember Albuquerque and Las Cruces, especially Clayton and Las Cruces, because those two cities, and I'll just pull this up here as we go through this article. I found this on Santa Fe, New Mexican.com. It's a local news out there in New Mexico, and it's talking about a new kind of green energy. And they're telling this story here about Ernest Sanchez, who grew up in a small town, to kind of relate it to everybody out there who may not be looking for this type of information. But when it comes to Clayton, how they're talking about they're going to see an uptick there with legalization as a result because of that. It's a neighboring border. You know, as you see, I'll just pull up the map here. Everybody can take a look at it instead of me just trying to talk about it.
Yeah, I always bring pens with me if I go to another state. There's just not a problem with it anymore.
All right. Oh, that ain't the right one. Damn it.
Like you said, they're looking for way worse things. They'd rather you be as copacetic and chill as possible.
Yeah, no, now we understand it's not like the stigma of old where, you know, oh my God, he's got weed on him, arrest him and give him a felony. You know what I mean?
Which would be really, really friggin' easy to do, by the way.
There we go. All right, so here we are on the map. So this story that we're talking about here today, as you guys can see, let me get to the map here. Where am I at?
Juarez, man.
You guys can see this little red dot there. Can you see that red dot there at the top? Well, that's Clayton. And then you got Albuquerque in the middle right there on I-40. And as I was sharing with Bob earlier, for those of y'all, I mean, I lived in Oklahoma for a number of years there, but I-35 and I-40 make a plus sign right in the middle of the state. And why is that important? Well, that's the central hub for all truckers, diesel truckers. Like I-35 and I-40 out there the whole time it was like diesels everywhere. So they think they run the road out there. But Albuquerque in the middle, you got Las Cruces down towards the bottom, if you can look right above the B on border, and then you got that red dot up there. I mean, these are three access points, obviously Albuquerque being the biggest, but even Clayton at the top up there, as we share this story here with you in the comment section, they're talking about the possibility of dispensaries being built, an influx of money, capital, investments because of the newly legalized legislation in cannabis in New Mexico. And it's my firm belief, I think, like, folks are going to start running to different states to buy houses because of what we shared. They're also going to be running to New Mexico from Texas, because where else can you go to where else can you go from Texas to get, well, Oklahoma, right? Yeah, I guess you could go about 35 into Oklahoma State.
Well, the real boom would happen, and I believe this is the case. There's got to be a lot of places in New Mexico you can go right now that are really friggin' cheap, that are much cheaper than anywhere in Colorado, simply because they just don't have an economy out there. And then a bunch of people moving there will actually create that. So, I'll tell you right now, New Mexico and anybody else who's looking for legalization in their state that doesn't have it, be expected to have neighbors in neighboring states who are not legal come to your state, like we're talking about right now. Just be ready for that. If your infrastructure is not ready for an expansion of your streets or anything else like that, that's going to be a problem. That's something else that a lot of towns and a lot of cities probably have to take into account before they call for legalization, because they know people will move there. This whole thing about the water being water shortage happening because of cannabis is BS.
Well, yeah, that's what they're saying in New Mexico. Is there enough water? People are asking the question, is there going to be enough water in New Mexico to water all the cannabis plants out there now? They've started growing there recently. I think as of 3 weeks now, they began growing. But yeah, I think. Hey,
listen, man, when they get their hands on some of that purple stuff, they'll find a way to get some water in there. They'll start digging some wells. They'll tap something, man. You know this. I understand what they're saying. It's a desert, you know what I mean, and it just doesn't get a lot of precipitation. But there'll be ways for that to happen.
Right. And so I know for a fact there's a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans in El Paso. El Paso, Texas, right there by the border. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? You're getting ready to be really accessible right there. So if you're smart and you got family on the other side, you know what I mean? You probably want to start talking to them and figuring out how y'all can get your boat in the water. Because as we've been telling y'all here on Square Groupers, episode 32, baby, the magic episode, like my man Mike Rock says, making a run for the border. When we do a 360-degree streaming view of cannabis here. We're going to tell you about everything. So, and you were sharing, Bob, earlier, it seems like New Mexico now, once you've been legally, or you're a medical card holder, you can grow up to how many plants, you said?
You can grow right off the bat right now, because we're talking, it's not just medical, right? This is full recreational, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So for New Mexico medical cannabis patients, legalization for adults is a welcome change. Under the state's current medical cannabis program, patients are limited to grow 4 mature plants. The new cannabis laws will allow each adult to grow 6 plants or up to 12 plants in a household with more than one adult. But there's only allowed to be 4 of them flowering at any time. So it's almost exactly like the laws, except the law here in Colorado, I believe, is recreationally 6 plants, 3 can be flowering. Medical, 12 to 24 plants, but only 3 can be flowering. So it's similar, and it could be something that they put in place so that they make sure that the average homeowner can't dent the sales of people going and buying cannabis or even selling it to each other, undercutting dispensaries. But that's kind of how the law is right now. And I don't know if that's going to change. You can legally possess up to 2 ounces of cannabis when you're not at your house and possess more than 2 ounces at home. You can grow up to 12 plants without a permit. So those are all the recreational laws right there.
Thanks for sharing that. So for cowboy fans in New Mexico, I know there's a gang of them. We did a story at officialamericans.com. She's got her house is just tricked out there. We shared that, I think, on a few episodes back. It actually made the local news there because it's so tricked out with cowboy stuff. So shout out to her out there. But for all other cowboy fans, especially my veterans that are out there, if you're thinking about, industry and jobs and things like that, I know New Mexico is not a lot of folks there. It might be not a lot of opportunity, but as this is rolling out, you need to be looking at the cannabis industry in terms of how can you get involved maybe. As this begins to open up in this newly legalized state, it's only a matter of time. They're going to move quick if they're already growing. It's just a matter of time before they allow those licenses to come in. Folks start setting up shop, coming in with that capital to get everything going. And then they get, all their laws out there, like what Bob was sharing, that folks need to be following in terms of consumption and purchase. So ton of opportunity there when you make a run for the border, man. I'm just saying, it's 32 episodes, bro. Thank God for Marijuana Moment, man. It's been keeping us with a steady stream of content. Wouldn't you agree?
They always do. And let me go ahead and put this in simpler terms. I think I might have muddled this. Recreationally, you can grow 6 plants for personal use, up to 12, and only 4 can be flowering. But if you are medically licensed in New Mexico, you can grow up to 16, with the maximum number being 32 and 8 flowering plants. So right off the bat, New Mexico it doubles the limit that I can grow as a medical patient in Colorado right now. So that's crazy to me. And that's a beautiful thing for New Mexico, but it makes me want to find and talk to other growers in Colorado that might have a problem with this, because unless you're growing for a dispensary, you can only flower 3 plants at any time, any given time, any person in Colorado ever.
Yeah. And Brandon chiming in, he's out there in Texas too as well. And we've shared that here on those sentiments exactly on this show. The nation goes as Texas goes when it comes to cannabis, because that is the Alex Caruso effect that we shared here. Brandon says,
yeah,
I don't think Bill Abbott, he's been doing a lot of great things, but I don't think he'll do anything in terms of signing a bill to legalize cannabis. So we lost your picture there. There you go, Bob.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay. So, the nation goes as Texas goes. And like you seen that map, when it comes to real estate, it actually stopped me from moving to my home state. That was one of the big reasons I took into making a decision on whether to pick up and move, because as a medical patient with the Department of Health under the state of Washington, like we shared here when I went to Florida with Bob, and we were talking about that before the show, I went to Florida with a Washington cannabis card and could not purchase cannabis there under their medical program because I wasn't a Florida resident. So as you see him talking about different types of plants, how many plants you can grow, also the medical card game is not equally built. You know what I mean? Where if you can, like I flew to Hawaii and got a 329 card and was able to get in the door of a dispensary and purchase versus, going to Florida. So it's really tricky out there. And that's why you want to turn on your notifications and follow us here. We're on episode 32 talking about making a run for the border. Man, You know, when we gonna see some stuff on the cultivation side over there? I know you're still in transit, I believe. What's your schedule looking like the rest of this year? You gonna be planting anything anytime soon, next couple of months?
I hope so, man. I don't know if you guys saw the post I posted on my page on Facebook this morning, but for me to stumble upon 3 seeds was insane. That's never happened in my entire life. Sealed. It was almost like calling my name. So that was just sort of a tease, and it kind of broke my heart. But I know that I'm not going to do it at this house that I'm living in right now until we sell it and move into another one. So that could be in upwards of 6 months, if I'm being honest. But what I'm trying to do is help anybody in the meantime who is currently growing. So I'm still available with all that. All my folks that might not be taking advantage of my full harvest level on Patreon, start taking advantage of it, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I think other people, wink, wink, who have purchased lights from me in the past should probably jump on it too, man. I know there's a few of them, a few of my patrons out there growing, and I love to see it. So I'm focused on that and some of the reviews that I'm doing. Real quick, I walked back into Good Chemistry today with my cannabis cowboy shirt, the blue one, not the hoodie, because it's burning hot out here. And it was a lady who had been working there, but I don't think I knew her name. She's like, "Oh, cool shirt," and I go, "Thanks, that's my brand." She's like, "Really? That's awesome." And I go, "Yeah, I've done like 20 reviews of your cannabis." She's like, "No shit." So I think she wrote my name down. I got a couple people to kind of sign up or whatever. And right off the bat, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and check that out." And I was like, "All right, that's cool." Yeah. See, and that makes me happy because that's really all I'm gonna be able to do in the next 4 to 6 months is review. Which there's 2 new strains at Good Chemistry right now. They're called exotic strains, and they're going for 40 an eighth on the recreational side instead of 35 or 30. So there's a lot of stuff popping. There's a lot of new stuff going on. So I'm going to dig my claws into some of that other stuff, as well as exercising like crazy, like I've been doing bike riding and all the stuff that I've been doing this whole summer. So I'm trying to stay healthy because it's driving me nuts that I can't grow fucking cannabis right now.
Yeah, you gotta void that. You gotta fill that void with all that time you're spending with your trees on something else. Yeah. I get it, bro. I get it totally. I'm actually right there. I told you, I think one of the last episodes, you know what I mean? I got your seeds. I seen you post that. I thought you found a little thing with some weed popping. I was like, oh, you probably find shit with weed in it all the time. People drop their stash or whatever. No, you found some no shit seeds.
Genetics, straight up, man. It was beautiful. It was like it was a lemon and G13 mixed with something called lime pop. And I was just like, holy shit, this never happens. Like, you know, there's no way. It just doesn't happen. So
yeah, the ganja god left that there for you and said,
I guess so.
This.
Yeah.
Find this.
Move that time frame up a little bit, son. Yeah. Get that house sold.
But in other news, because you know we're a bunch of Cowboy Homer delusional fans over here. You know, they had the opening presser today at training camp. Did you get a chance to watch that? Did you watch any of the fan base creators do the reviews or anything like that?
I did see the press conference itself, and I always say this: the press conference for the most part is for the press. It's never ever made me go, awesome. I'm so glad I just watched that. To hear our old owner stutter and stumble through sentences is starting to get me feeling really bad for him. Like maybe Steven should pull the mic from him and just let him talk. And I'm not really like I'm not getting on him. I'm just saying he's getting up there in age. But McCarthy, he looks good with the beard, man, and the glasses. I like it.
Bro, I know he's got to be following me, man. He's jacking my style.
He did.
He's capping on me, bro. I know he's following BG. He just ain't like comments. He ain't messing with King Sharon over there, though, bro. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I keep that. I didn't love it. I mean, it sounded like just a bunch of stuff that like they have to be there and they have to say these things. So I think the true news and the things that we want to see and hear as Dallas Cowboy fans are going to be what we see in Hard Knocks and what we see in training camp footage and stuff like this. These press conferences are all stroking the egos of the people who work in the media, and I could not care less.
Yeah, I know, and I'm excited because we've been on a countdown because you know my saying, like if you're not counting down or you're really fucking down, you know what I mean? We got 15 days. Jerry didn't even know he's over 10 days for the whole thing. We know Jerry ain't counting because I was on there live. I did some reactions. And like my man Brandon said, he had to wait 30 damn minutes to hear about some football, kind of like what we did here. Because for the first 26 minutes, they were talking about what I said the number 6 storyline was going to be to watch for when it comes to Hard Knocks over here. is the 30-person NFL Films crew that showed up vaccinated. And as they were talking for almost 30 minutes in the initial presser about, you know what I mean? Because we're America's team, we're leading it, we're kicking it off. You know, it's kind of that thing. It's kind of like for good measure. But yeah, you're right. Nobody's really tuning in. We got first practice tomorrow. It's closed. They've got COVID protocols going out there. The West Coast is already out there. Shout out West Coast boots on ground. He gave us a snapshot of this bleachers. No field access out there. No player meet and greets. You're going to have to get there early if that's the case. I'm getting some flyers coming in from the hitters on some stuff that's going to be happening. So you got to scroll up to our event section here and check it out for training camp as we close out here today on episode 32, baby. You know what I mean? I'm excited. Football is back underway. I know presser or not, they getting out there, dog, and we're going to start seeing them first on that open practice, especially on Saturday. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for that, but I will say this. The one beautiful thing I pulled from that press conference was when I think it might have been Jock Taylor from Cowboys. I don't know who it was that asked Jerry what he thought about Michael Irvin speaking about COVID and the fact that people who aren't vaccinated are not necessarily all full in on board. And while skirting that the entire subject, Jerry Jones beautifully said, when Michael Irvin talks, I listen. And it was one of the more beautiful things to hear because he didn't say anything other than he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He basically backed him up and said, I think what he was trying to say was this. And it was a wonderful thing to hear as a Michael Irvin fan. He's my all-time favorite Dallas Cowboy. To hear Jerry just have his back like he has Jerry's back is a beautiful thing to still see. And yes, people my age and even younger and older do still think about the 90s. And yeah, you can F with us all you want. You can talk as much shit as you want. I had a Jaguar come to my page and start talking shit about my Cowboys. I had to laugh them off. It was insane that I had to deal with that. A 1-in-15 team fan coming to me, trying to tell me my Dallas Cowboys are trash. It was just crazy. So the one thing about these press conferences is it's step one at the beginning of the new season, and that's what makes me happy. When you start seeing this, it means we're going to start seeing other stuff, which training camp, all these other things, preseason, and then boom, back to reality.
And so we got all those dates. Like I said, you scroll up to the top of the BDG page here. I'm still looking for that supporter. Who's going to be that supporter that signs up today? The first Square Grouper supporter. Help us even it out on the BDG books. Our goal is to get to 100. But I got this rolling trade for you here today for the supporter that happens to sign up here on Square Groupers. But, I mean, you know, we're kicking it off, football, cannabis, 360-degree streaming view, bro. I mean, we've been in the gym. We've been getting reps here. You know what I mean? I'm excited. It's only going to snowball. You know that. It's only going to snowball here. So we appreciate the very few of y'all that have been riding with us here today. Y'all know who you are. Been in the gym with us early since episode 1s and 2s. We didn't even know what the hell we were doing. We still don't know what we're doing, but I think we're getting a little bit better. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think at the very least we've kept things a little shiny, consistent. There's been a couple speed bumps in the road, man, but we've been doing well, man. I'm proud of us. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, I remember us having that conversation. I said, give it a year, man, till November, and here we are, already in July, man, and we're kicking off the 21 season, man. Y'all been rolling with BG the Cowboys Unifier, and that guy over there is, I got it right. You see, that's Bob the Cowboys.
Got it.
Man. We're the Square Groupers here. We give you a 360-degree streaming view of cannabis, as we talked about. Will Texans make a run for the new border when it comes to New Mexico, because they've recently legalized, and I think Brandon Reddock shared that Texas has actually got legal states all the way around them now. That's not.
Look who showed up, BG.
Man, we can't get out of here. Man, we almost missed the episode without the Facebook user. Thank you, Bob. We got him in the mix. Thank you, Facebook user, for always showing up. We've always had a Facebook user on every show. That's 32 for 32, baby. We appreciate y'all.
Somebody was just waiting in the wings like, shit, they're on, man. I think they're about to log off. I'm getting the log off feeling. Get in there. And they gave us the FU, the Facebook user, man. That's a beautiful thing. Good. Always looking great in that profile, by the way. That profile picture just looks like you never age.
Well, it is, man. It is what it is, and we out of here. We are your digital dealers, baby. You know, we dealing that digital dope out there to you today. We've been talking about cannabis here. We thank you, everybody, for rolling with us. Make sure you hit follow. Make sure you get on the sharing, like my man King sharing over there, Brandon Reddock, and we'll see y'all on episode 33. Up. not the Tony Dorsett episode. We'll see y'all on the next episode of Digital Dealers on Square Loopers.
I be your digital dealer. Hit me in my DMs. Let me send your pack in the mail. Hope that pack don't tell. Yeah, I'm gonna sell till I go to jail. I be your digital dealer. Yeah, you hit me in my DMs. I will put that pack in the mail. Hope that pack don't tell. Watch me sell till I go to jail. Up in the way. Yeah, I put that pack in the mail. DEA be watching. I be going in and doing my thing. I don't care. You watch me sell. Pack be leaking. Yeah, it's talking loud. Talking be loud. What you talking about? Yeah, you really be telling. But I gonna still make this money. Send my cash to that cash app. Leave that trail. Fuck 12.